China's side in
I
this.
don't
It's insane.
How do you not trust China but trust Donald Trump? It's planet
Are you
Earth we're talking about.
kidding me?
Yes, very much.
I think that's really sad that you trust our greatest adversary more than the president of the United States, who was elected by over 80 million of your fellow
the
Americans.
majority of people who show it,
Pathetic.
excuse me, the majority.
Everyone's acting like because it hasn't worked yet, therefore it'll never work.
It's 2 weeks.
But also, no one has a plan for doing, again, what we all agreed we had to do.
I disagree with that
plan?
because
Saying about a lot of
Are you not
presidents who
embarrassed to give preference to China
No,
over
because
the president
it
of
is
the United
not.
saying about Bill Clinton.
Why should I believe that Donald Trump is telling the truth about anything at this point? How can our allies?
I'm not sure that's the defense that you think
No,
it is.
no,
If
it's not
prices
enough.
are
It's not
falling in the
enough.
housing market, I'm not sure that is a
Well,
good thing.
we want
It
to get
suggests
more
that-
Americans into homes. The person who can afford a new iPhone every year has to pay $3,000 for it instead of $1,500. As it is, if
Double the price?
As it is, if
Hello, everybody. Guys, let's get right into this panel. It always amazes me how overly confident these MAGA pundits are on things they just don't know what they're talking about. This is incredible to watch. Check this out and we'll talk about it.
We were just talking about the pressure mounting on Donald Trump. When it comes to the suffering economy, he is resorting to fantasies, including this one about the housing market.
They had very good numbers on housing today, extremely good numbers, and that's despite interest rates. Because, you know, if you look at what happened, everyone said, oh, I said I was going to get prices down. I did.
But the report that he is referring to actually shows this. Sales of previously owned homes in March fell to their slowest pace since 2009. And that is not exactly an economic report card that he wants to have today. So, Batya, you were talking about the tariffs and defending them. And we know that you are a staunch defender of them. The problem is that Trump did not run on 145% tariffs on China and tariffs of, you know, upwards of 40, 45%, almost 50% on the whole rest of the world, which is so different. I mean, I can't believe I'm saying this, but it's very different from 20%. And it throws the world into a lot of chaos. And I think people are starting to push back on that hard.
So he did run on decoupling from China. This was something that came up at every single rally. He talked a lot about the need to do what I think all of us can agree on, which is end this toxic relationship. On the housing, there are 60 major markets in America that did see prices fall. You're right that the average went up, did not, but the prices fell in 60 major markets. And Zillow projects that by next March, prices will fall by 1.7%. And I want to just make a point about inflation. We talk about inflation.
I'm not sure that's the defense that you think it is.
It's
prices
not
are
enough.
falling in the
Yes,
housing market, I'm not sure that is a
Well,
good thing.
we want
It
to get
suggests
more
that-
Americans into homes. But I just want to make a quick point
There's
about
ways to
inflation.
do that.
We act like, you know, inflation of all things are equal, and they are not equal. It is not the same if a person who can afford a new iPhone every year has to pay $3,000 for it instead of $1,500 as it is if
Double the price?
As it is if a working class person can't afford gas and food. Those are not the same.
That's true.
We cannot measure those as the
that
same.
is true, but
That's not a
okay.
priority
Hold
for
on.
this president.
It is true that the cost of an iPhone is maybe not as important as the cost of gas and food, but the cost of food is not going down either.
But the cost of gas is going down. The cost of gas has gone down. But I'm just saying we have to measure these things in a way that reflects the goals of this president, which is to improve the lives of working
But if
class
we have
people.
tariffs on China, how am I going to be able to afford to buy all those Trump Bibles? I buy them in bulk, and I'm not even going to be able to afford one at this point.
I mean, you triple him.
The way Batya, the brainless one, she gives me a headache. The way she just tries to find things. Well, look at these 60 markets. Forget the average. It's the same thing they did yesterday. Well, look at this store selling eggs. They sell it for $2. Again, there's a reason why we have averages. And her point is still, even if she was right and the average went down, I've noticed Abby's pretty damn smart on a lot of, she has like a lot of base knowledge on a lot of different topics, but that's besides the point. She pointed it out. That's not the flex that you think it is. If home prices are going down, that's not a good thing. Unless we just had a huge amount of supply out of nowhere, which obviously we didn't just build homes all across America out of nowhere. We don't have a huge supply. So obviously this is a demand issue. You know, when prices start going down on a house, that means people are rapidly selling and there's just not enough buyers, which creates this downward pressure on prices, right? As a way to entice buyers. The house is not selling at 400, lower to 380, still not selling at 380, 350. Okay, finally we sold it, right? There's a downward pressure, just not enough buyers. So essentially what is happening is likely there's a recession or a fear of one coming soon, right? It doesn't even matter really. Forget this word. People are not confident enough to buy a home right now. Just know that. That's why prices are going down, right? The demand for a product drops, so does the price. And then she's talking about, well, more Americans are getting into homes. No, less Americans are getting into homes. Hence why prices effing going down. Think about the last time you saw home prices come down. Doesn't it make sense that it always happens during a recession? Because again, unless we just get a huge amount of supply out of nowhere, I just don't understand how prices of homes are going to come down. And on top of that, she doesn't use the average. She just used the market as a whole. It's just not a good way to see it. It's just not a fair way to see this. She selects the market she wants to make her point, and then the point doesn't even make sense. And it's the same thing with gas prices. Again, the price of gas is similar to homes. They aren't going down because, again, we created this huge supply of gas. Where did we just, are we starting to drill more than ever in the past 90 days? No, of course not. They are going down because people are buying less gas. They're limiting their traveling. They're limiting their spending. Less home buying, less gas buying creates a downward pressure on prices. This is what happens, guys, when you constantly attack education and experts. They don't want to listen to anyone but their idiot leaders like Trump. You get these brainless MAGA pundits that just scream things with full confidence without knowing or taking the time to see how it works.
That's my MAGA hats. I mean, they all come from there. What am I going to do?
They are indeed. No, but also, look, America is addicted to cheap Chinese merchandise. They buy it at Walmart. They buy it at Target. I'm not going to Target these days, but some people still are. And part of what's happening, though, like the explanation you're giving, even if I agree
Yes, boycott Target, guys.
with you, again, that's exactly what we heard from the Biden people for 2 years. They were trying to explain away the fact that people are saying gas, groceries, rent. My income is not keeping up with costs, period, full stop. I don't care that this market indicator or that market indicator. But then this week, we literally had CEOs of major corporations. We had financial
even.
experts,
Yeah.
Trump donors, agree. When everybody agrees except for Trump, it's not about, okay, it's $1.98 in one state out of 50.
But what happens, let me pose this, what happens if in 3 months from now, most of the tariffs have been either reduced or eliminated, right? And Trump comes out and he declares success and he says, I've made deals with this person and this person and this person, and most of the tariffs are now gone, except that there is a more even relationship. Is that a win?
Of course
does Trump,
it is, right?
Does Trump,
he
does
becomes
Trump,
the most consequential president of the right?
But because,
He gets the
look,
headline.
Wall Street, if you look at what's happening on Wall Street right now, it looks like Wall Street is starting to believe that that is a likely outcome. That the outcome will be...
If the tariffs are good, why are they dropping?
No, that the tariffs are not good.
Right, I'm
that
saying.
the Wall Street is viewing it as tariffs bad,
Right.
but now it appears that there are deals
But
being
your
made.
premise is
can't
that
do
the
90
tariffs will
deals in
pay
90
off.
days.
Well,
If
no,
the tariffs-
will go away in large part, but that he will have made
Why will
some
they-
better...
why will they go away?
Because
Why-
they're terrible. Because everyone agrees...
So he'll drop them because they're terrible.
Yes,
Yes, okay.
and he'll
But
drop them
the
because
other
they're
countries,
terrible,
but
and other
Dan's
countries
point,
will...
Dan's point is not that we're just going to drop them, that
Right,
the other countries
right.
are going to drop them against us as well, and there's going to be more of an equal playing
But
field.
isn't there a risk in all of this that by the time Trump gets around to dropping these tariffs, it would have been too late? That if the economy
It's
is
90
on
days,
an
he calls it
economic
for.
razor's edge between where we are right now and stagflation or a recession, that they're not going to wait 90 days for businesses to make decisions to pull back, which is what I was going to say to you in your response to what you're saying, which I get it, right? But the pullback that is going to hurt Americans the most is when companies, seeing lower demand because of higher prices and uncertainty, start cutting jobs.
Correct.
And then instead of, can I afford that F-150? Can I afford groceries? Do I have a job is the question that a lot of Americans
don't
are
forget
I
the
agree
tourism
with
as
you.
well.
I think that that's a
She hit the nail on the head. And what Dan Abrams said, like, what are you talking about? There are no countries coming to the table. He's lying. This is not Wall Street believing that something is happening, something's going to work. They don't believe him. That's why they're performing the way it is. The market is performing bad because they believe Trump will perform bad. It's not that hard to understand. If they have faith in Trump or anything in this economy, you wouldn't be seeing the markets react the way they've been reacting. I mean, the man is trying to fire the Federal Reserve Chairman Powell so that he can lower interest rates as much as possible, which would most definitely bring us into a recession or even a depression. On top of that, if Trump had countries at the table making deals, he would be running around every day mentioning the countries and those deals. He's lying. Or these countries, which is more likely, or both very likely, these countries are lying to him like they did last time on his first term. They just placate him because he's an idiot.
really important thing for us to keep our eye on. But right now, he already has 3 deals almost completely in place: India, South Korea, and Vietnam. India and Vietnam have already agreed to put tariffs on Chinese steel and aluminum. This is a huge win for our markets. So it's already working. And everyone's acting like because it hasn't worked yet, therefore it'll never work.
It's 2 weeks.
But also, no one has a plan for doing, again, what we all agreed we had to do.
I disagree with that because I do think
the loudest person in the room is always the wrong one. Why is the market reacting the way it is? Why is the economists, portfolio managers, people who do this for a living, why are they reacting the way they are? But she's so confident that Trump is doing the right thing. And these tariffs on India and South Korea are putting on China for steel. How does that make it so that they would buy more steel from us? If they were going to buy more steel from us, wouldn't they just make that as the deal? Trump is getting played. And they play idiots like her. And she runs around and spread these nonsense, and their believers, all they need is a little centimeter of hope, and these idiots are cultists. They're just going to follow along.
That the radical agreement that actually has been in place, Democrats and Republicans, including the prior administration, agreed on taking on China. That's why they kept Trump's first term China tariffs in place. But speaking of China, Donald Trump keeps saying that he is negotiating with China. He said it again when he was asked by a reporter today.
Clarify with whom the U.S. is speaking with China. They're saying it's fake news that trade talks are happening.
Well, they had a meeting this morning, so I can't tell you. It doesn't matter who they is. We may reveal it later, but they had meetings this morning, and we've been meeting with China. And so I think you have, Jeff, as usual, I think you have your reporting wrong.
As usual.
Well, the reporting was right. I mean, you can disagree with what the reporting was right, that China said that.
Yeah, China said
China said that. That part we know.
Trade negotiations.
And by the way, Dan, people in China did have a meeting today. That is completely factual.
Look, we don't know if China's lying or not, but I'm just saying that there is no doubt that there is a different story coming out of China.
They said that they are not talking to the Trump administration.
All of a sudden, we're going to rely on everything that China says to a
As
news
opposed to
outlet.
relying on what Trump says?
Listen,
why are you guys on China's side in this? It's insane.
How do you not trust China but trust Donald Trump? His planet Earth we're talking about. Yes, very much.
I think that's really sad that you trust our greatest adversary more than the President of the United States, who was elected by over 80 million of your fellow Americans.
The majority of people who showed, the majority of people who showed up to vote voted against him in 2016, 2020, and 2024. There's no mandate to speak of. I don't trust China, but there is no reason.
You dispute that he won the election?
No, I tell you that the majority of folks who showed up to vote in all 3 elections voted against him. He never cracked 50%.
Cumulatively?
He never cracked 50%. Yes, he has no mandate.
You can say that about a lot of presidents
to give preference to China over the President
it is not.
Say that about Bill Clinton.
Why should I believe that Donald Trump is telling the truth about anything at this point? How can our allies believe it? Who's going to enter into a deal with us after pulling out of the Iran nuclear deal, pulling out of Paris Accord?
130 countries are waiting needing to
We
do
can't even get
just
tourists
that.
to come anymore. People are deciding, you know what, this year I'll try North Korea. Tourists aren't coming here anymore. Nobody wants to be in
What is that
business with us
proof
because of
of?
this. But it's not popular,
think
and he's
that-
not an honest man. my
Here's
dear.
the thing. Here's what I will say about this.
She brought up the election like, wait, you don't think that Trump really won the most recent election? He hasn't even accepted. He continues to lie about the 2020 election that he lost to Biden. That's amazing that she would bring that up as a comparison. Like, come on, let's be real in the comments. Who do you think is lying? China is known not to be honest, but Trump? Are you effing kidding me? Aside from being a racist, I don't know any more prominent attribute that he has. This is insane to me. I mean, in my video yesterday, he lied about egg prices and said they were down 94%. Trump supporters, Republicans out there, he thinks you're dumb as all hell. Do you understand what 94% drop in price looks like? Let me make it simple for you. It's if something was $1, it is now 6 cents. This is how much the guy lies. And think about it, if these things were true, 94% drop in eggs, don't you think Republicans, I'm talking to you, don't you think he would be running around talking about how great of a job he's done? Like, how does this kind of simple lies work on you Republicans? It's amazing. Keep attacking education. This is what you're going to get. A group of people who just so easily lied to because you just don't have the intelligence, but just way too much confidence in thinking that you know how the world works around you.
I don't think we know. I don't think we know if Trump is telling the truth. I don't think we know if China's telling the truth. All I know, based on what both sides are saying, is that there really are not there's not substantive progress being made on that part of the trade situation, which is, frankly, the whole ball game. The entire ball game is the 150% tariffs, essentially, that will wreck a lot of economies, small economies of individuals and families, and big ones too. There's no sign that there's progress being made right now.
1,000%. And look, these trade negotiations, they haven't gone to if you've ever done this work, they haven't gone to MOUs yet. It's an MOU. It takes sometimes years to get a final agreement. So let's say he gets all of them. It's not going to be 90 deals in 90 days. But there's something else we're not talking about that's really important. That's just one piece of the economic picture. Next week, they're going to start marking up that budget that they passed, the one that has a $4.5 trillion increase in the deficit, the one that may cut Medicaid, the one that may cut other services. So the way the American people are experiencing the economy, it's not just the tariffs. It's people losing their jobs, like 30,000 government workers in Kansas City. And all the businesses that supported those workers. And what does that do to Kansas City? It's also people who are having to wait a longer period of time to just get in touch with Social Security.
That's right.
It is also going to be whatever cuts end up having to be in this budget that they're trying to sell us so that they can give a tax cut to the wealthy. And working people are not seeing it, they're not feeling it, and they know he's
very
lying.
quickly, the part that you mentioned that we don't talk enough about is that the business community expected that Trump and Republicans would get the country's fiscal house in order. That we know that is not going to happen.
Wait, how do you know it's not? Because when you said a moment ago, you said we don't know.
Okay, no.
I agree.
No. I'm talking about the fiscal aspect of it. I'm talking about how much money the government is spending, how much they are putting out, and how much they are taking in.
Elon Musk is supposed to fix that.
Elon Musk is
going back to Tesla.
They are talking.
The great savior is going back to
Tesla.
They need a little help
They're talking about raising the defense budget by
Correct.
more than the amount that Elon has found in savings. So we are not talking about the federal government finally getting control of the out-of-control spending, which is what actually the business community thought that they were going to at least try to do. And that's leading to some of this uncertainty.
But all of these things, one relies on the other. So the tariff piece of it has billions, trillions of dollars associated as well. I just think what you said a couple of minutes ago is like, we don't know yet. We can't see yet. It's not even 100 days yet. Trump's got a plan. His plan is either going to be tremendously successful or fall flat on his face.
Do you believe he's actually got a plan? Because I don't think he actually has a plan. I think he's kind of winging.
I think.
I mean, no, am I wrong?
Here's what I think. I think since the day he got elected until January 20th, I think he met with hundreds of people at Mar-a-Lago.
Yes.
I know he met with hundreds of people.
Right.
And he took in everyone's opinion. He processed it, and he came up with what he thinks he should do.
And you think it's actually a roadmap?
I don't think
of this goes to this and this leads to that.
I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm not sure it's all written out.
Oh my God!
I'd be shocked if that was.
I don't think he's winging this tariff thing.
The clock is ticking.
These MAGA pundits are amazing. Yeah, he has this equation with multiple variables. Like, are you effing kidding me? Come on. Like, Trump obviously doesn't have a plan. He tried to bully the world, and they stuck the middle finger at him and decided to work amongst each other. Even adversarial countries, you know, they were adversarial amongst each other, are working with each other instead. And this is the truth about the economy. Trump has proven he is unstable. And he's just not all there. He has these tantrums. He just lies. 94% drop in egg prices. Like, he just can't be trusted. And then when it comes to business owners, small and big, they will scale back because of this uncertainty. And this uncertainty is not only here, but worldwide. Countries will scale back how much business they do with us, which will result in less jobs, higher unemployment, lower pay, or at minimum no increase in pay. And my real fear is that even when a Democrat comes in office with a normal head on their shoulders, countries still won't trust us due to the next Republican president coming down the pipeline. And it's just going to do something absolutely moronic like Trump did. The economy always performs horribly under these Republicans. And it's because they just do dumb crap like this. And the world knows more now than ever that Republicans are weak. And as long as they can keep their jobs, they won't push back on their president, which hurts all of us. But I'm going to leave it there, guys. Let me know what you think about all this in the comments. Good or bad, agree or disagree. I read just about all of them. Please like, subscribe. That really helps the channel, really helps get the message out there. And I'll catch you in the next one.